Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining me today. My name is Alison Jacobson, and I am a transformational coach for women in midlife who are looking to get past their self-doubts, their fears, to live life confidently and courageously and achieve all of their personal and professional goals. You can find out more about me on my site, alison-jacobson.com. But a little bit about myself. I have been a serial entrepreneur all of my life. I started my first business, a boutique PR firm in Los Angeles, at 24. And within 4 years, I had sold it to a multinational PR firm, making high six figures in that sale. I went on to get married and have my kids. And unfortunately, my first son died of sudden infant death syndrome in 1997. And my second son has severe intellectual disabilities. I also have 2 girls who are in college right now. And that whole process of dealing with my grief around my son really impacted who I was and what I wanted to do with my life. Up until then, I thought I knew. And that grief took me on a different path that I chose to follow, which I'm so grateful I did. After that, unfortunately, I did end up getting divorced. That divorce left me completely bankrupt. I had to start over again. And so I rebuilt another business, my speaking business, my coaching business, and rebuilt it into another 6-figure business, which I'm still running today. I also got married to a man I met on Match. Yes, it is possible. And unfortunately, 4 weeks after we were married, he was diagnosed with primary progressive MS. So I went very quickly from being a new bride to being a caregiver for him, my son, and my mom, who came to live with us. So there was a lot of pressure on my plate to grow and multiply. And again, a lot of obstacles, a lot of fears, but that is what led me to doing what I do today that I absolutely love. So today we're going to talk about how you can get past those obstacles, those fears, those challenges, that grief, so that you can step into your power and live the life you want to live and grow the business you want to grow. Now, a little bit about fear. Not all fear is bad, right? We need that to help us survive in certain situations, whether we're being attacked by a dog, or sometimes when you're in an elevator and you just, a guy walks on and you just get that feeling that something's not right. Fear does protect us, but fear also, irrational fear, hinders us from growing and achieving everything we want. And so that's what I want to talk about, that irrational fear that prevents us from making choices that allow us to live confidently. And the key is for you to control fear and not allow it to control you. And I have a free guide on my website, alison-jacobson.com, that's 5 steps to release fear and live boldly. And we're going to talk more about that. So one of the fears we have is created by ourselves. It's created in the stories that we've been told and that we've come to live with that have become these limiting beliefs, right? Now, the story I had growing up was talking about yourself was bragging and boastful, and you shouldn't do it. I also grew up thinking that the only type of job you were supposed to have was 9 to 5. You go to work at 9, you work for somebody else, you get a salary, you stay there all your life, you come home at 5, and that's your job. You just leave it at the door. Nobody in my family was an entrepreneur. So I didn't have a role model of what that looked like and what I was supposed to do, but I knew that something else was calling me. And it literally took me moving 3,000 miles away to Los Angeles to figure out what that looked like and to not allow those stories of what I'm supposed to do impede what I truly wanted to do. And, literally that could have frozen me in place if I hadn't, really picked up and moved away and figured out what it was I really wanted to do. And what I realized and thought about was those stories, and this is probably true for you too, those stories weren't facts, they were beliefs. And in order to change that, I had to start creating a new reality of what they are. And you probably have the same situation. Growing up, we all have this in our family, right? You may have been told you were the smart one or the pretty one or the athletic one. A teacher might have told you that you weren't any good at art. So that whole idea of becoming a graphic designer or an architect just went out the window because some teacher told you you weren't good in art. And then you also might have had a boss who really kind of amplified that by every time you tried to offer ideas, shot you down. So you may have been inhibited by trying new things and thinking out of the box because you were told all your life, you're not good enough. This is not what you should do. And that was reinforced then by teachers, by bosses, maybe even your spouse, right? Like your spouse may have grown up and believed in this attitude of just working for the man and doing this one thing, and completely doesn't understand your way of thinking of being an entrepreneur, or maybe just the opposite. Whatever that is, those stories became beliefs for you, and those beliefs became facts, and they're not facts. So what you need to understand is those stories are limiting your success in achieving your goals. They created this cycle of low self-esteem, possibly, which leads to bad decision, which leads to no money, which leads to no joy. So the first thing we need to do is tear them down and create new stories. So here's the first exercise. I want you to write down some of those stories you grew up with, and maybe they've even continued. And then I want you to look at what you wrote down and think about, are they facts or are they beliefs? And what proof points can you put down that show that they're simply beliefs? Here's an example, right? Maybe you hate speaking in public. Maybe you're deathly afraid. That happens to a lot of people, right? So I want, if that's one, for example, right? Public speaking is scary. You might write that down. And what is that fear around that? That you're going to massively fail if you try to speak in public. That might be what you write down. And then I want you to write down, is that a belief or is that a fact? What are the proof points that that is just a belief? Maybe you know somebody, maybe a friend of yours does public speaking. Did she survive, right? Did she screw up? Even if it's somebody who gives toasts at a wedding, can you point to people you know who speak in public in any way, and not only have they not screwed up, but they've inspired people? Okay, so whatever your stories are, start looking for those proof points that they aren't necessarily facts, and that will help you start moving forward. I also want you to start finding role models of what success looks like for you. The best way to start rewriting your internal scripts and overcoming your beliefs is to start hanging out with new people. Start hanging out with people that look like you. Like I said, I had to move 3,000 miles away to start finding new, entrepreneurs that I could hang out with and new friends like that. So who are you hanging around with that may be supporting those limiting beliefs, or, fighting against them? And really, in order to get ahead, you've got who you hang out with, who your tribe is, really matters. In fact, there was a study that showed 95% of your success or failure is determined by the people you associate yourself with. And I actually started a Facebook group, Midlife Mavericks, Fabulous Fierce Females, specifically for this reason, because you might not be getting the support that you're looking for in your day-to-day life. You may not be getting that encouragement to go off on your own and to start a business or to go back to school. And in this group, it's filled with women who are going to give you that support and lift you up. You also might not see yourself as successful. If you are surrounding yourself with people who say, I can't do this, or it's not possible, or it's too hard, or whatever it is, you may never have seen people that look like you that are successful. So that's the other thing I want you to do. So I want you to start seeking out those people who are already experiencing success that you want, and start hanging out with them. Start like getting their vibe, start asking them questions. But then I want you to look in the mirror and say to yourself, this is what a successful woman looks like. Because I guarantee you right now, you don't necessarily think that. You don't think that about yourself. You don't think you're successful. So I want you to look yourself in the mirror and start saying to yourself, this is what a successful woman looks like. The other big problem women have, and man, is it a problem, is imposter syndrome, right? Men don't have this problem like women do. How often do you find yourself kind of, shirking off when you do something great, or excusing it and saying, oh, that was no big deal, right? Or how many times do you find yourself taking on a new responsibility and then freaking out saying, oh my gosh, I'm never going to be able to do this, or this was a fluke that they hired me. They don't really know. I really covered myself well, right? The reality is we are great at things, but we don't believe it in ourselves. I'll tell you, you could have a job where there are 10 criteria listed, right? If a woman looked at that job, she would have to check off all 10 criteria before she applied. A man could see only 2 and say, I'm perfect for the job. And I struggled with this for so many years myself. If something went wrong, I totally took all of the blame. Completely, it was all my fault. I wasn't good enough. But if something went right, I would immediately say, oh, that was the team. They all did it, right? We're so programmed as women to share the compliments and all of that, and not say, yep, I did that. I was awesome, because we feel like we're bragging, right? And that's what we've been told. Men don't have that problem. So I want you to think about sometimes where imposter syndrome might be sneaking in. And here's a couple of ways. Have you had several jobs or clients in the past few years and something always goes wrong, or you think something goes wrong, or you get bored with it, right? That could mean you're really scared of moving forward. Have you negotiated a raise for yourself in the past year, or raised your rates for your clients ever, right? If you haven't, you probably don't think you're deserving of it. Here is a big one. Do you procrastinate, or have you procrastinated launching your company, or relaunching your company, or building your brand, whatever it is, because you felt like my website isn't perfect? I have to work on the perfect slogan. I have to get the perfect logo. I have to get the perfect web design. That is called procrastinating, right? We're so worried about everything looking perfect, and we're not just putting it out there. Just put yourself out there, hang your shingle up and say, I'm in business. Now, don't get me wrong. You need to have a plan, but when you're just niggling and niggling with the website and the perfect language, and you're stopping yourself from moving forward, chances are you're having imposter syndrome and you're worried about this. You've also, here's another one. Have you stopped yourself from taking a class at college, from starting a job, from taking a new job, from even getting a divorce, and you're saying, well, I don't have the time, or I'm going to wait till the kids are out of school? Chances are, once again, you're having imposter syndrome. You're afraid to start. And this was one of the things I had to deal with. I had 2 big goals in 2022 that I accomplished. One of them was publishing my book, Daily Inspirations for Midlife Women, and I published that this year. And the second was running the New York City Marathon. I have never run in my life. And in 2022, as I said, I also run a nonprofit, First Candle, and they are a charity partner for the New York City Marathon. And for years, I've gone down and watched people run. And I was always like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And I never did. And finally, in 2021, I said, well, excuse me, when I turn 60, I'm going to do it. That was imposter syndrome. That was BS because I was 56 at the time. And I finally said, this is BS. I'm just putting off because I don't think I can do it. So I committed to it. I said, I am running the New York City Marathon. I got past that imposter syndrome of I can't run. I'm not a runner. And to be honest, up until that time, I wasn't a runner. I had never run at all in my life, but I'm like, I'm going to do this. It was a big, scary goal, but it was something I really wanted. And so I said, I'm not putting it off. It was also my son's 25th angelversary, 25 years from when he died. So I was like, perfect time. So as much as I had this feeling of imposter syndrome of I'm not a runner, I said, screw it. I'm going to do it. And here's what was really interesting. So it was a year. I gave myself a year to train, which I know isn't a lot, but I decided I was going to do it. And as I started running more, I would pass people. And it would be like, oh my God, look at them. They're runners. Who am I? I'm not a runner. And I'm like, wait a second. I'm running. I went from 1 mile to 3 miles. I am a runner, but I was still dealing with that imposter syndrome of not feeling like I had the creds to call myself a runner. And then it got even more. I went from 3 miles to 5 miles and to 10 miles. And I still didn't consider myself a runner until one of the other teammates on my team said, you realize you're a runner. You're wearing running shoes. You are a runner. And it wasn't until I crossed that finish line at the New York City Marathon that I finally gave myself permission to say, I'm a runner. So how often do you find yourself doing that in anything, right? You don't feel like you're worthy of the title, right? You don't feel like you deserve to have the credit for whatever you've achieved. That is your imposter syndrome rearing its ugly head. Okay. So in fact, it's really interesting because we don't stick up for ourselves. We don't want to give ourselves the credit, and we don't demand it. We don't demand attention and respect when we walk into a room because our imposter syndrome gets the better of us. We kind of say, oh, that wasn't really important. No. And so here's 2 other things, because one of the things is you got to believe it, right? I want you to walk into a room and think to yourself, hell yeah, I own this room. I am and then fill in the blank, whatever you are. I am a killer attorney. I am an awesome realtor. Whatever that is, I want you to own that in your head every morning. Again, I want you to say that into the mirror. I am a successful woman, but then add to it, I am a successful real estate woman. I am a successful, banking, whatever it is. I want you to assume that role and feel it. Feel how amazing you are and own it. It's amazing to me how we, getting back to that salary and client, there's a statistic, 61% of women have never negotiated for a raise. 61%. I don't know what the statistic is for men, but I guarantee you it's a lot less than that because men will go for the raises. Okay. Succeeding in business isn't just about the skills and the proficiency. It's about that authentic connection with ourselves. It's feeling who we are. And that gets into, not being able to sell ourselves, whether it's as a business ourselves, as an entrepreneur, or sell ourselves to a client when we're working for another business, right? And the easiest way for you to get past this, especially when you have your own business, and this is an important trick, women are not very good at establishing the rates, the financial rates for ourselves, right? We feel like, oh, we don't justify having this money. What I want you to do is stop thinking about yourself as the business. Say you're a consultant, say you're a nutrition coach or whatever. I don't want you to think of yourself as that you're selling yourself. You are selling your business. Your business is the third person. Your business set those rates and established those rates. Your business is that value. So when you're selling, you're not selling yourself, you're selling that business. And those are the rates established by that business. I guarantee you it's going to make it easier. I also want you to stop worrying about competition. I'm begging you, don't worry about competition. There is room out there for everybody. And especially as women, we need to support each other. Okay. Get into a mastermind group where you do have other people in your industry. You can learn from each other. You can support each other. Everybody does things in a unique fashion. Okay. You are different than the other nutrition coach. You are different than that other realtor. What is your specialty? And I guarantee you will find that. So don't worry about someone having a better idea than you. Don't worry about, someone doing it better than you. You find your unique selling proposition, your USP, and put your blinders on and focus on yourself. Don't worry about stepping on other people's toes. Don't worry about, offending someone because you're getting into their niche. There's enough business to go around. So stay focused on that. You are great at what you do. You are perfect at your own business. So make sure you stick with that. The next thing I wanted to talk about too is those boundaries, right? Boundaries screw us over so much, but what I want you to hear about, and hear this clearly, boundaries are not about saying no to other people. Boundaries are about saying yes to yourself, okay? We fall all over ourselves trying to make everyone happy. As women, we're caregivers. It comes naturally to us. You're going to give things up to help your kids. You're going to give things up to take your aging parents to their doctor's appointments. We give and give and give and give. And in giving, we're not saying yes to what we need to grow our business, to take care of ourselves mentally, spiritually, and emotionally, and physically, right? How many times have you said, oh, I'll just make that doctor's appointment later. But if it was your kids, you'd have them at the dentist, the doctor immediately. We are not doing ourselves any favor by not saying yes to ourselves. Okay. So you've got to look at how you can make other people responsible, ask them for help. And I got to tell you, especially kids as young as 5, as 7, as 9, they want to help. They would love to have that responsibility. And you are not doing them any favors if you're not asking them for help and teaching them how to be self-sufficient. Okay. Don't let your kids go off to college not knowing how to do laundry, not knowing how to cook, not knowing how to change a tire or jumpstart their car. You make them self-sufficient. You are actually helping them by asking them to help you. And I know that asking for help and asking them to do chores, especially your husband, you're going to probably get some resistance to change because their lives have been lovely so far, right? They're not going to necessarily want to step up and help with that change. Here's where we screw this up, ladies. Okay. Your husband, if you ask him to go to the grocery store for you, or you ask him to do some chore for you, he may not do it exactly as you like it. Let it go. I'm telling you right now, let it go. Because as soon as you step in and fix it, he's going to sit back and say, oh, well, I just guess I'm not good at this. Okay. You have to be okay with letting it go. If he didn't get the right type of laundry detergent, let it go. Okay. You can't control it all. You can't do everything. And this is where we're burning ourselves out. Okay. Focus on one thing, allow them to do it. If your kids don't pack the dishwasher exactly as you like it, it's okay. Let it go. I'm also going to tell you, you are going to disappoint some people. You are going to disappoint some girlfriends when you can't go out to dinner with them every time because you're working. You are going to disappoint your parents when you can't come over every Saturday night for dinner. Maybe it's another time. You're going to disappoint people, but that's their issue. That's on them. Okay. As long as you feel confident about what you're doing and setting those boundaries, it's going to be more effective, because then when you do have that time with them, then it's all of them. Okay. You're going to shut down your computer. You're going to shut off your phone, and you're going to be present. It is that quality over quantity. I promise you. And by being able to kind of segment your time like that, you are also going to be more productive. The idea of multitasking is BS, okay? You're never doing anything completely well when you're trying to multitask. Especially, I know it's hard for moms who have young kids at home when it's half a day or the kids are sick and you're trying to work and you're trying to be with them. You're not getting anything done effectively. So focus on one thing at a time and then be present when you do. The next thing I'm going to talk about is being open to change. Okay. We went through the pandemic, and there was a lot of companies that failed because they were focused on the one thing. And if the pandemic taught us anything, it taught us we need to pivot. We need to figure out how to take our businesses online. We need to figure out different ways of working. And those companies that didn't figure it out failed. I'm not saying you absolutely, you need to find your niche. You need to find your target audience and your target customer. But then if it shifts, you need to shift along. I started this out by saying, I've been an entrepreneur. I've been coaching. I've been doing consulting work and speaking work for years. I started out in the child safety space because my son died of SIDS. But then as my kids got older, that didn't feel right for me anymore. And then I got into the divorce space, but that didn't feel right anymore. So now I work with women in midlife. That is the right space. Okay. It's not that anything wasn't right at that time, but I needed to change. I needed to evolve. That doesn't make you a failure. You can't be afraid to change. You need to be excited about it. And think about it this way, right? Your end goal, what is that end goal? And I'm not talking about money. I'm talking about what is that end goal you want. For me, it is to find a, final place that I want to live, a retirement home that is a beach house that is accessible to my husband. That's my end goal. How I get there might change, but it's okay, because I'm going to get there. It's kind of like, our GPS systems, right? Like if you're setting your GPS to go somewhere and all of a sudden it's taking you off your standard route because there's traffic, you're not going to fight it. You're going to go with it. You might get a flat tire along the way. Even if you do, you're not going to stop and go back. You're going to change it and keep going. So don't be afraid of that change, okay? Because if you're not open to change, you're going to self-sabotage yourself every single time. That fear of change is going to keep you in place. It's going to keep you in the bad marriage. It's going to keep you in the failing job. It's going to keep you in that lane that's not taking you anywhere. You've got to stay in the flow. So keep your eye on the prize, but be open to change. And the final thing I want to talk to you about is, what is your powerful why? And I just started to allude to that. We can't have a goal. A monetary goal isn't enough. Saying I want to make $100,000, that goal isn't going to get you, it's not going to give you enough power to keep going when times get tough. Why do you want that $100,000? What is that going to buy you? Is it going to buy you peace? Is it going to buy you security? Is it going to buy you happiness? What is that thing you want more than anything? For me, like I said, it's that retirement house that's handicap accessible, that's going to be great for my husband in a town that is good for my son because he's going to have to be there too. That is my goal. That is what I work for. It's not a dollar figure. It's what that's going to transform into. What is your powerful why? And I really need you to think about it. You need to believe you deserve it more than anything, because just wanting it and thinking about it isn't going to be enough when times get tough. We all know as entrepreneurs, or even in any job, you've got to feel it with all your being. You've got to be able to work for it. That's just like me when I ran the marathon, right? I knew I needed to train hard. I had to want it with all my being. And so when I was training, I always had that picture of my baby Connor in my head. That's why I was doing this. That's why I stuck to it. When there were days I didn't want to go out running, yeah, I hated it, but I did it. There were times when I wanted to give up after 3 miles, but I had made a goal of 5 miles. I kept going. I had that picture of my son in my head. What is your powerful why? Why do you get up in the morning? Why do you go to your job? Why did you start that business? Why do you want to go back to school? What is it going to do? What is that powerful why? Why does it keep going? Why does it make you keep going? You know, there are so many clients I work with, and it's really interesting because I will ask them, they'll be able to tell me why they're unhappy. They'll tell me why they're miserable. But then I ask them, what does happiness look like to you? Define happiness. You would be shocked how many people can't define what's going to make them happy. They have this very surface goal, but when I really dig down deep, what's going to make you happy? They have a hard time answering that. And so that's what I want you to think about. What will make you happier than anything? And that is what will lead you to your success. So I really hope you got some practical tools and strategies for overcoming your fear today. I would love for you to check out my site, alison-jacobson.com. There's a lot of free resources on there. If you want a daily dose of inspiration, you could head over to Amazon and get my book, Daily Inspirations for Midlife Women. And if you want to learn more about my coaching practice, you can set up a time to talk to me. But thanks so much for joining me today. Bye-bye.